My name is Patrick Donovan. This is my second year in the Life Design Lab, and today I want to share the story about my junior year. I entered this year with a clear mission. I did not want to repeat the mistakes of my past. Last year, I felt like I was just going through the motions, acting as a spectator in my own education rather than being the lead character. I was tired of just being good enough and just having that mentality all year. This time, I wanted to pour myself into something that didn't just feel like a grade. I wanted to pour myself into something that felt like a legacy. I decided to stop avoiding the challenge I'd been putting off for years out of the fear of failing. I realized that the things we avoid are usually the things we need to do the most. So I decided to finally face my fears and do a difficult LDL project, which in my case was writing a book. It wasn't just about the word count. It was about proving to myself that I could start something difficult and actually see my way through it. My project is a fiction adventure novel that follows the story of a young teenager who was stripped from his family, forced into legal labor camp for over half his life. His only tether to his humanity and hope was his sister, but one fateful morning he wakes up to see that she's gone. That was his breaking point, as the story follows his escape and his desperate journey to even discover if she's still alive out there in the world. I drew a lot of inspiration and world building from my favorite manga and novels, especially one of my favorite novels that I've ever read, Project Hail Mary, as it's one of my favorite books, and I loved how they adapted the movie and took some inspiration from the movie as well. And once I had the world that was built in my head, I thought the rest was going to be easy. And the writing process would just flow, and at the end of it would be easy goings for the end of the year. Or at least it was supposed to. In reality, from September through December, I did absolutely nothing. I would just sit at my desk as I am now, phone in hand, watching the clock tick by as I scrolled on Instagram or TikTok or just social media in general, just sitting on my phone. It was a dangerous trap. I treated life design like any other elective, where I would just coast. My mindset was my biggest enemy. I was procrastinating because I was afraid of failing at something I actually cared about. I chose to ignore the warning signs, even though I knew deep down that if I didn't change, I was heading toward a repeat of the year before. This caused my first LDL night, the feedback night, to be a complete bust, and I had nothing on my table, which allowed me to get zero feedback. This made me realize that I was standing still while deadlines and everything else was moving toward me. And then once winter break hit, without the noise of school, and I knew I had to put my phone down, I was left alone with myself, staring at my phone. I looked at that blank screen and remembered the promise I made to myself at the start of the year. I realized that if I wasn't going to be better, I had to be responsible for my own progress. I finally started to care, not because of a grade, because I owed it to myself to finish something meaningful. For the first time, I put the phone down, and once I started writing, I felt some motivation. I didn't feel like a chore anymore. It felt like something I wanted to do and something that I enjoyed. It was a perspective shift. I don't think I would have ever experienced if I haven't had the freedom to fail in life design. When school resumed in January, I hit the ground running. I was always writing in class, my phone was away, I was always writing after school, and late into the night. This allowed me to have things to have on my table for the LDL nights, especially critique night, and even more important, my exhibition night. On exhibition night, my table was full with books that I used for inspiration, for manga I used for inspiration, and I had my book out for people to flip through and read. But I became so invested in my book that I hit a new roadblock. I started neglecting my other schoolwork. My grades began to slip as my passion for my book grew. Then the final nail was hit into the coffin as reality set in and the SATs hit. I had to study for those and school on top of it, which left no time to write for my book. I struggled to find the balance between creative dreams and my academic responsibilities. I realized that even writing in class wasn't enough time to finish a whole book by June. I had to learn how to manage my time more efficiently than ever before. Over the last couple of weeks, almost a month, I spent a lot of time reflecting, and one day, as I was writing my book, I flipped back to the front. I flipped back all the way to the front page of my book and realized that I've come so far in so little time and I've done so much work. And that I've grown not just as a student, but as a person who keeps his word. I've become more dedicated to my goals, and I've learned that future me can't always solve all my problems. I have to fix them now and today. I started acting on my intentions immediately instead of just waiting till the next day or waiting tomorrow. And honestly, I can say I've procrastinated way less, and I have been leading with more purpose, and this trend is finally moving forward and helping me more with my life. Through this process, I discovered something unexpected. As people started asking me about life design and my POL, I found myself helping them, giving advice, and sharing what I learned. That's when it clicked. I don't just want to study biology in college and do that the rest of my life. I actually like helping people and teaching people different things and helping them grow as people. And so that also made me realize that I'm not the best writer in the world, but that's alright. Or at least I won't be yet. I don't have to be perfect. I always have to be willing to improve and always be ready to be better. This project taught me that the messy middle is where most of the things happen. Another thing I learned was that most of my friends and people around me, my peers, were always asking about when my book was going to be done or why is it not finished. And I realized that people always want to see your success, but not the work that you put in. These lessons that I've learned this year about accountability, passion, and the joy of helping others are things that I will carry with me through college and into my career. As summer approaches, my journey with this book isn't over, as I plan to spend my break and my senior year continuing the story until it's finally complete. This year taught me that I am capable of change, and more importantly, that I am the author of my own journey in my life. And thank you for listening to my story.